Still cross here. Horrible fucking damp weather. It's not. It's sort of threatening rain, and then not. You know, little bits of blue up there. There's the odd raindrop hitting me visor and whatever. It's kind of threatening it, but it's not actually happening yet. I've got a feeling I'm going to ride into it at some point. So yeah, I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to talk about metal music and my sort of love of it. A lot of people, you know, people either like heavy metal or they don't. You know, it's really as simple as that. And the people that don't like it go often come up with the reason they don't like it is because it's a screaming row. But it's not actually a screaming row if you fucking listen to it. It's not. But yeah, I think I mentioned when I was at Sad Hill, you know, my dad, my parents, you know, I think probably predominantly my dad was into sort of the rock music of the time, very sort of progressive rock. So back in the days of my you know, young youth, we only had 3 channels on the TV. Sunday was always sort of dedicated to religious programs through the early evening, and that's the kind of time that my dad would stick the stereo on and subject us to the music. You know, bands predominantly like Wishbone Ash, Cream, you know, maybe a little bit of Lynyrd Skynyrd even. You know, it was that kind of rock that he listened to. And as I got older, I got to about sort of about 10 o'clock, about 10 years old, and you know, my record collection to that point hadn't been sort of a massive record collection, you know, and a lot of it was I wouldn't say inherited, but sort of given to me for me to play on. I had one of these Get This Kids. It was one of these, it was a record player in my bedroom which literally was a on-off switch, so you switched it on, click, and then that was the volume. You put your record on the player, and the actual speaker was in the front of the record player itself, and the lid, and when you closed it all down it looked like a little case. A lot different to what sort of came in the future after that, and then disappeared, sadly. But my record collection was made up of, believe it or not, Ennio Morricone's the soundtrack to The Good, the Bad, the Ugly was one of the albums I had, and the soundtrack, which was limited to, at that point, I think it was John Barry's James Bond themes, and I think it only went up to Thunderball. So yeah, it was a album with different tunes relating to James Bond. And then with Birthday Money, the first sort of single that I bought with my own money was Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter, and I've still got some of Gary Glitter's stuff on my playlist. And yeah, you can fucking scream and moan about it. Yes, he's a convicted paedophile, and I accept that, but this was the music of my youth, and I loved it. And until they stop playing Michael Jackson on the radio, I'll keep playing and listening to Gary Glitter. You can all fuck off. You know, Michael Jackson was a pedo, and the very best opportunity they had to convicted him, they allowed him to pay the fucking family off. So yeah, let's get things in perspective. But yeah, Gary Glitter was the sort of the glam rock of my youth, Mark Bolan and that kind of thing. And then I progressed a little bit, and the very first album that I bought with my own money was an album called British Steel by a band called Judas Priest, and that to say basically changed my life. When it came to music, that album literally changed my life. I mentioned in the Sadell video that my dad didn't have any stuff like Black Sabbath and whatever. Of course they were around, but the first album that I bought, it was British Steel, and fuck me, yeah, what an album. For the time, you know, certainly I think it stands the test of time with some of the tracks. Maybe not with all, but you know, you can look back and be very, very sort of tongue-in-cheek with breaking the law and what have you. But yeah, and it kind of moulded the way I was going to be going now with the number one, the music taste, and number two, the dress, the way that we were called grebos back then. I don't quite understand what that was about, but they tend to refer to us as grebos. And the dress was, you know, it was leather jackets with studs. You know, I had a bullet belt, which was basically empty shell casings, that I wore around my waist, and the sort of dress at the time was green flash, Dunlop green flash, with your trainers, your jeans, a couple of tears in them. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't the fashionable sort of George Michael Faith type tears, but they were well worn jeans, green flash, leather jacket. We'd wear like a denim cut is what they refer to them now. I had two denim cuts, if you like, which were sleeveless jackets to go over the top of your leathers. And my girlfriend at the time was quite a good artist, and she with fabric paint, she painted the album cover of Iron Maiden's Killers album, the second album with Eddie with the axe. She painted that on the back of one of them, and the Motorhead skull on the back of the other. Yeah, it was good times. You know, we used to go to concerts quite a lot. You know, when AC/DC were touring, for those about to rock, so the second album with Brian Johnson, up until that point, I hadn't actually seen AC/DC, but my friend Simon was a massive AC/DC fan as well. My friend Sean, you know, he was an AC/DC fan, but not, I suspect probably not quite as much as us. And the first 6 albums with Bon Scott, this is how we used to run with it. This is how we used to run with it. Me and Simon, you know, we'd go to each other's house. It was predominantly Simon's house because, you know, we had like a separate living room. So we go in there and listen to music, and we could quite literally. So I'd be blindfolded. He'd put an AC/DC album on the turntable, get it spinning, and he would drop the needle on a track. And it was, you know, I named that song in 2 type thing. It was literally a 2 or 3 second blast. However quick it was for him to get the needle on and off again, and you know, we'd do it vice versa, and we could literally name from that 2 or 3 second blast the name of the track, the album it was on, and what side of the album it was on. And it killed the time. It killed the time. Very fucking geeky, but we could do that. You know, it was just what we did. You know, and we go to a lot of gigs. And like I say, when AC/DC toured the For Those About to Rock album, they did 8 gigs in London. They did 6 at Hammersmith, followed by 2 at Wembley. So 8 days in succession. But there was 6 at Hammersmith and then 2 at Wembley, which is a Wembley Arena now. And me and Simon went to 7 of them. The only one we didn't do was the first of the Wembley ones. So we did all 6 at Hammersmith, and then the last one at Wembley in a week. You know, it was, and we was at school, so we'd finish school, get home, get ourselves together, meet at the bus stop, bus to fucking Loughton tube station, on the tube across to Hammersmith, watch the gig, and then tube home back to Loughton, and invariably missed the last bus. And we didn't have mobile phones back then, there weren't even a fucking thing then, but missed the last bus, so then phoning me dad up at fucking up past midnight or wherever it was. Dad, can you come and get us? And bless him, he did. You know, it was a good sort of 15-16 mile drive. You know, getting out, getting in the car, coming, picking us up, dropping Simon, and every day for a fucking week. I think he was getting the needle, but you know, he was like that. You know, we went up to, I think it was 83. We went up to Donington to see the Monsters of Rock gig there. Monsters of Rock was the precursor to Download. Basically, it was a one-day festival, but then it developed into becoming Download. And in the 83 festival, AC/DC were headlining. I think we had White Snake there, Slade were there, a band called More who opened, who bless them got fucking bottled to fuck. They weren't particularly good. Who else was there? I think it was the Black Crows. But yeah, we went along to see that, and my dad drove us up there. You know, he had a Fiat Super Mirror Fiore, and he bundled, I think there was 5 of us, bundled us all in the motor, drove us up to Donington, kicked us out, went to Derby, spent the day drinking coffee and reading his book, and then was there to pick us up and bring us home. Yeah, good times. Slade, fucking phenomenal. You know, they were in sort of halfway through the day, and it was, you know, it was June. Fucking June. It was like blistering hot, global warming, and we got to about halfway through the gig, and you know, everybody's fucking shouting for Merry Christmas, and it was quite comical really, because Noddy Older just fucking stood there and said, "You can all fuck off. It's June. I'm fucking singing it. If you want to sing it, sing it yourself." So the crowd sung it. It was quite funny. But the bass player, you know, I don't know his name. Forgive me, mate. You know, for not knowing your name. But the bass player was very fucking good at playing the fucking violin, and he did like a solo on the violin. Was just, you know, it was just incredible. There's a couple of their songs, you know, that had the violin in it, and obviously he would play that, but then he went into a solo, and he was mustard, absolutely fucking mustard. Yeah, and then sort of as sort of time progresses, you know, like I was saying in one of my earlier videos, you know, my boy plays drums, and he's very good at it, and he's getting better all the time. You know, as a doting dad, you know, I would love very much for him to be able to earn a living doing that, because he does enjoy it. You know, realistically, is that ever going to be a possibility? Because of you think of the amount of bands that make it big. There ain't really that many around the world, so you got to be pretty lucky to meet up with the right people at the right time to get that. But you know, fingers crossed. I hope that he does. He's got a friend called Corey that he goes to college with, and you know, Corey plays the guitar and does a little bit of songwriting. So you know, they're thinking about getting together and trying to get something going. You know, and he'd have my full support in that. But drums back then was very much just very much a rhythm thing. You know, bum bum ta, bum bum ta. It was, you know, that kind of rhythm section, if you like. But now with modern metal, it's, you know, the drums are a hugely integral part of the sound. You know, to the point where, you know, when you think about some of the drummers out there and the way they play the double bass, you can't even think the notes as quickly as they're playing them with their feet. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And more power to it. I love that sort of drum sound in modern metal. But it's kind of developed, and you know, moving on from your bands like Black Sabbath, your Motorheads, and Filthy Phil Taylor of Motorhead was probably one of the first I can remember that would play that kind of double bass. Certainly fast bass with tracks like Overkill. But then you had Judas Priest's drummer. He was Painkiller. That those kind of tracks were sort of bringing the drumming into the forefront of the music. And I've come to bands now. Slipknot. Joey Jordison, absolutely fucking phenomenal. Jay Weinberg took over from him, and now Eloy Casagrande's in there, and they are, each and every one of them are fucking phenomenal. And if you ever bother to have a look on YouTube, you can see Eloy Casagrande playing for Slipknot. Drum cameras on stage and stuff. I think I'll stop at their next services. And fucking hell, he hits the drums so fucking hard. I mean, it's just incredible. If you're not into that kind of thing, and whatever, give your eyes a treat. Go and watch this fucking bloke playing the drums, because he absolutely fucking smashes the drums with every stroke. And it's amazing how he manages to keep that up for a full song, let alone a full fucking concert. But it's your bands like your Slipknots. You may have seen, if you have watched any number of these, when I was at Sad Hill, I was wearing a t-shirt for a band called Bleed From Within. And even though I listen to the music, I don't know all of the bands. So in 2024, at Download, a band called Bleed From Within come on. Never fucking heard of them. Seriously, never fucking heard of them. From Glasgow, up in Scotland, and the weather was shit. And sadly, because of what was happening with the weather and all this fucking nonsense, they had to cut their set short. And I think their set was only about 40 minutes in the first place. So it was halfway through the day, basically, towards the second half of the day on the second stage, and they get a limited time, but they got cut short with it. And I don't know if you watch Rob Beckett and Donation. They do like a thing when they're on tour. They came on at the end of the Bleed From Within set and did a Metallica song with them, and that was part and parcel of what they were doing. We're going to play a festival type thing, and they did it with Bleed From Within. So you're getting insight into them now. They've been going for 20 years, these cunts. They've been going for 20 years. I've never fucking heard of them. And in that 25 minutes that I saw of them, absolutely fucking sold me, boys. Just fucking phenomenal. To the point where we now know that they're supporting Slipknot in December, and I've got tickets to take my boy to see Slipknot the following December, and we actually can't fucking wait. We can't wait. Saw Bleed From Within now, and we know that they're playing the following Download now, and I don't know if that was something to do because their set got cut short, that they were able to play it, or the fact that they were starting out on a world tour, which they're currently still on. They were allowed to play it again. I don't know, but fucking happy days. They're playing Download in 2025, so can't wait for that. But when they were at Wembley with Slipknot, they announced this tour, and they were playing in Kentish Town this coming October. Bought fucking tickets there and then while I'm sitting in the stadium. Bleed From Within, everybody. Guys, if you are fucking happening to watch this, absolutely fucking phenomenal. And 2025 for me, Download, Bleed From Within were by far and away the best set there. The only thing that I thought was better than them, and this is not their fault. This is not something they'll ever be able to compete with. I went to see Jerry Cantrell, who's of Alice in Chains, and Jerry Cantrell played 3 Alice in Chains tracks there, Them Bones, Wood and Rooster, and sorry, Bleed From Within, you can't compete with that. But those 3 tracks aside, Bleed From Within absolutely fucking dominated Download for me, and I could have watched them all over again. But yeah, metal music, it's a taste. You know, people give it, oh look, it's so fucking violent and whatever. But when I spoke about Toby, you know, crowd surfing and going into the pit. When they're doing the pit and whatever, you're looking at it from afar and you're going, that looks so violent. You know, it's bang out of order. It's so violent. It's actually fucking not. You know, it's as a friend of mine coined the phrase, which I thought was quite good really. It's fucking ring of roses for grown-ups. That's all it is. It's ring of roses, and if you watch it, it isn't as fucking brutal as you suspect. And everybody in the pit is looking out for everybody in the pit. And I need you to trust me when I tell you, if you fall over in the pit, before you hit the floor, somebody's got you under the arm dragging you up. You know, they absolutely look out for each other. It's not a fucking fight. It's just enjoying the music. And you have a close look at it. It's not that bad. I mean, you don't for fuck's sake, don't look at Slaughter to Prevail's fucking Wall of Death. Because that'll make you think, fucking hell, Crossy's telling me fibs. That's, you know, don't look at that. The Wall of Death's a totally different thing, but even if you watch that closely, it's not as violent as it seems to be, because as soon as everybody comes together, it's basically the crowd parts in one big fucking long line and then just run towards each other. Once everybody comes together, you look at it, the people at the front basically just stop looking at each other and everybody else behind them just closes the gap. It's like a concertina. So it's not as bad as you think. It looks awesome, but it's not as bad as you think. Yeah, Slaughter to Prevail, everybody. Fucking, yeah, Lamb of God. You know, all of these metal bands that, you know, have been around for years and are a staple of that kind of genre, that genre of music. It's, yeah, give it a listen. And there's quite a few female-fronted bands, you know. You've got Spirit Box, Ginger. They were both at Download this year, and I've got to tell you, vocally, they are fucking incredible. Especially Ginger. I mean, Tatiana's voice is fucking incredible. Worth a go. But there you are. That's metal, best music on the planet. I do listen to other shit, and I might talk about that. But yeah, best music on the planet by far. Give it a go. You know, open your eyes a little bit. Try and listen to what they're fucking singing about. It's good. Anyway, I'm going to knock it on the head there. See ya.